What up, good people? I'm back with another reflection. And today's reflection is about understanding what we truly worship. And this one really was one that I focused on myself primarily because I think a lot of times we got the propensity to think that we may be worshiping and believers of God. But if you really do the rundown and you ask yourself, okay, because worship really is what you give the most time, the most energy, and the most value to. So you got to ask yourself, how much time, energy, and value are you giving God on a daily basis? And it's also based off a daily interaction with this entity, right? So if I ask myself, how often am I talking to God? How often am I praying to God? How often am I giving God thanks? How often I'm just reading the Bible, which is, the love letters that God wrote us. And then I ask myself, how often am I on social media? How often am I on Netflix? How often am I on YouTube? How often am I spending more time and energy with people, whether that's boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, children, parents? How often am I giving more time and energy to entertainment, or whatever it is? Your cars, your houses. These things can become our gods if we give them more time, more energy, and more value to them because we worshiping them. And we got to be careful with that, man. It's one thing to worship other deities outside of God, and it, because God can always bring you to the light. He can always bring you out of darkness. But when you're in darkness and you don't know it, you thinking that you're doing the right thing, that can be a scary place because you're not even looking for the light. And so God can be shining the brightest, biggest, most shiniest light towards you and trying to bring you out of the darkness. But if you ain't even looking for it, you get comfortable in the darkness. And so, it's a hard question, man, but we got to ask ourselves, what are we really worshiping? Do we really worship God like we say we do? Are we really in the Bible? Are we really praying? Are we really giving thanks throughout the day? Not just when we wake up, not just when we eat, not just worshiping at church, not just praying when we need something or when we in trouble. We really got to be worshiping.